glad that you all have joined us. And we have these webinars, Let Us Talk It webinars every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. EST. These are professional webinars dealing with work and life. And it happens every week. And on Fridays, we have Let Us Talk It youth webinars from 4 to 5 p.m. EST. And all of you who have joined on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please do let us know in the comment section. We will take it at the end of the session. And all of you who have joined thinking this to be a different webinar, just wanting to let you know that that webinar, the EB2, EB3, will be happening tomorrow. And for today's webinar, the topic is time to think big. Problems cannot be solved by the same level of thinking that created them. It was said by Albert Einstein. And giving this topic more light and to knowing that how we can think big and what to do, we have the presentation to be given by our speaker today, Riti Kapoor Chopra, and she is a trainer, speaker, educator, and she says that she instills self-belief and an unshakable optimism in people. And she specializes in soft skills and behavioral skills training. As a trainer, speaker, and educator, Riti conducts short-term and bespoke workshops on career development, motivation, leadership skills, and many more. For more than 12 years, imparting learning to 100,000 plus individuals through 12,000 platform hours across different hierarchy levels has been possible only because of her unshakable optimism. From this positivity stems her self-confidence and a fearlessness which drives her to give her best in everything. And she works closely with HR leaders, L&D managers, sales and marketing heads, and even CEOs. Riti's training sessions are always highly interactive with an element of course, fun and humor. And Riti works with some of the leading corporate houses as a freelance corporate trainer. Some of the clients include L&T Infotech, Bank of America, Mitsubishi Electric, BPCL, Tata Power, and many more. And with that positive, confident, fearless, and straightforward, Riti Kapoor Chopra is here today with us to enrich the quality of people's lives and add a spark of inspiration. We are extremely honored, Riti, to have you. You have been a fantastic, friend, almost a friend over one phone conversation. So I can imagine how friendly you are. And we are absolutely privileged to have you here at Let Us Talk It webinars. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Julan. And I think so it was quite a lot in terms of the introduction. I would have probably cut it very short, and whatever I do, I am extremely passionate about it. I think so I saw a few participants quite inquisitive to understand what is this topic all about, right? And when you say time to think big, I think so we haven't started to think big at this point of time. We always should get into that mode of thinking big. Now, thinking big is not about having more money, getting more success, being a celebrity. In our own model, we all can bring in something to the kitty, right? So the most interesting quote which I have heard, and I think so in this pandemic time, I have been reading a lot, right? And there have been few inspirations in my life. So in my childhood, I still remember when in my school days, I got to read about Mother Teresa. And I personally believe the kind of bold and a brave lady she was, I think so we won't have anybody like her again. So when you talk about these individuals, another book which is very close to my heart is about our ex-president of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And when you talk about thinking as a terminology, he says dream is not what is said during your sleep, right? A dream is something which doesn't let you sleep. So when you talk about dreaming, when you talk about thinking, think about it that it is not something which would let you sleep, right? And that while you sleep, you go on thinking about it. Are you thinking right now? We all I think so, at some point of time in life, have so much of influence on our thinking, right? Hope you can see my PPT.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. So when you talk about thinking, our own thinking as an individual, it is influenced by loads of things. So my influences or your influences can be our parents, our childhood, our surrounding, our friends, our colleagues now at this point of time. And each and everybody has influenced you in some or the other way in terms of your thinking. But most of the time, at times I have observed in myself. I remember the first time I told my dad I wanted to become an air hostess. His first reaction was, "Are you serious? Are you going to serve people, the food in the flight?" Okay. I think so. I got such reactions so many times in my life. Then maybe, sometime back I asked somebody that I was just talking to people around me and I said I want to become a politician, and the first reaction which came to me is, "Are you serious?" Right? I think so, you are quite a straightforward individual. Would you be able to be talking very diplomatically? Right? So a lot of things have stopped me believing that, is that what has influenced me? So now the best people who start thinking, I think so, in our childhood, we have thought a lot. Like, we have asked our parents so many questions, right? So many weird questions according to them, right? So the first time I went in India to a temple, and I asked my dad, "Why you're opening your footwear going to the temple?" He just said, "Observe." And I think so the observation made me a better thinker. So do you agree with this? You will never become great until your own thoughts make you great. And therefore, it is of first importance that you should think. And at this point of time, we all are thinking, right? So, most of the time in our childhood, what questions we have? Why is the sky blue? Right? Is time travel possible? Right? Or maybe, why doesn't she likes me? Why doesn't he like me? So these kinds of amazing questions which come up, and I think so most of the time we don't get answers to this, right? And I was blessed to have great parents who had answered me certain questions, with pinch of salt also, right? So as you start asking questions and seek answers, you are in fact thinking. And when you talk about thinking, in other words, should be purposeful, organized process. So if you have heard about the term metacognition, which I'm going to talk on a later part, what do you see at this point of time on your screen? I think so you would be having your own opinion about this picture, right? So I think so, on the chat, if you feel like, are we open for chat, then probably you can just write.
Why does she?
Yeah. If you're open to chat, then probably you can just put it. And probably I can see what do you think about just seeing this picture for the first time, just the first reaction. Okay. So anyways, I think so, I'm not getting any chat messages at this point of time. So now I think
No, there
when
was
I,
one reply.
sure,
A
can
old
I?
guy on right and a lady in left, a young girl and an old man, face
Okay, okay, interesting. So somebody
of
said,
girl. These are the
yeah,
replies, chats.
so young girl and a old man, right?
Sorry, couldn't hear you.
Yeah, so young girl and an old man, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Youth and
okay.
old.
Right,
Sriharit Singh.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe somebody has just promptly just seen a lady first. Somebody have seen a old guy with the mustaches. And I think so. Can you imagine in one of my sessions or the workshop, when I had put this picture, somebody wrote that it looks like a Hindu god Ganesha from the back, right? And I was like totally shocked. And I said, oh, wow, I never thought that it looks something like this. So please don't differentiate in terms of good and bad kind of thing. It is something which people have as a perspective, right? So we all have to understand each other's perspective. One more intriguing question to all of you. Do you believe that thinking is a skill? I think so. We have to all introspect and start thinking in those lines whether we believe thinking is a skill. And I think so. A lot of philosophers and scholars have always told us to develop that skill set in all of us as thinking as a skill set. And that's why the demand for the 21st century nowadays is they want people, the employees have to be exploring in terms of terminologies called creative thinking, lateral thinking, and that's what you have to explore in times to come, right? So I'm going to tell you this term probably, which maybe you might have heard, but if you haven't heard, it's called metacognition. So the meta stands for which is beyond, and cognition is thinking. So it's all about thinking about thinking. And what is metacognition is beyond thinking, which is awareness and understanding one's own thought process. So understanding your own thought process takes a lot of time, right? And the best thing I could do at times is introspect myself. So at times I use something called as a tech detox, and I get the time to just get out of this whole tech mode where I'm on the WhatsApp or on technology, and I take some time off for myself, where I would probably understand that what is my thinking going into, right? And few things which I can share with you is, I got interested in spirituality lately, which I was not previously. So probably every individual gets that time for himself, should take out time for himself or herself to introspect and understand what you think about, right? Okay, going ahead. So the first thought which has to come to your mind is you're what you think you are. So don't let people judge you. Don't let others tell you what you are kind of a person, but make sure that you are somebody who thinks what you are. So look important because it helps you to think important. So every day when you get ready for the office, or probably you see yourself in the mirror, create your own importance for yourself, whatever way you are looking, right? Think your work is important. So always have a thinking that whatever kind of work you do. So I'm a social activist. I work for few causes and they're very close to my heart in terms of volunteering for few of the NGOs. So every time when my work as a speaker or a trainer is important, I personally believe as a freelancer, my work towards volunteering is also important for me. Build your own sell yourself brand. What is selling yourself brand all about? How you act, it determines how others react to you, right? So how can you increase your self-worth? How can you increase your self-respect? Okay, don't confuse the terminology of self-respect and self-esteem. And it's most important for all of you to understand, is this kind of human behavior very puzzling? Not really, right? Give yourself a pep talk several times daily. So, probably when you sit alone or you are sitting with people, most of the time, spend time with positive people and get that positive energy for yourself. Upgrade your thinking. Think like important people think. So, giving an example, I always use this quote of Muhammad Ali. You know, whenever we read about Muhammad Ali, he talks about, he's always been talked about as a greatest boxer, right? And himself, as an individual also, he believed before he could get this recognition or he became famous, he knew what he wanted to achieve in life. So think always like an important people think, right? Secondly, believe you can succeed and you will. So that thought, that seed in you of that believer that you would be able to succeed makes you succeed. So again, talking back about Muhammad Ali, the philanthropist, the boxer, the activist, who always believed in himself. Develop the power of self belief. So each of us as individuals have to have confidence in ourselves that whatever we are doing is correct. So I still remember my first session for training with a company called Future Group, right? And I remember entering the training room, and the first reaction was people started murmuring. And I was in my 20s. And I still remember there were some reactions which I started getting in terms of, oh, she looks quite young to get us trained, right? And they were all managers. So probably my self belief would have shaken with something like this. So think about it. Secondly, think success, don't think failure. So once you start thinking about that you're going to fail, it won't be successful, whatever venture you're taking up, I think so, you see that not working out. And that's why when you talk about don't think about the failure, you will start thinking about the success when you plan things well, right? So planning is extremely important when you talk about going ahead with any of the ventures or whatever kind of work you're doing. Defeat disbelief and the negative power it creates. So once this belief, the seed is born in you as disbelief, I think so it goes on as negativity. So during pandemic, when I started volunteering for certain initiatives, I remember all the time I was getting at times these reactions that why do I work as a volunteer for an NGO, and if I venture out, wouldn't that be good for me and my family? At times there was so much of disbelief which generated when I think so when 6 months back when the pandemic started, I didn't want it. I wanted to detach myself for a month's time and start introspecting that what next. So I had to work on, each of us had to work on our emotional, mental, psychological, stability at that point of time. And how did we cope up? Hats off to a lot of people who are our COVID warriors. Make your mind produce positive thoughts. The more positivity you have, the more successful you will be having. Be build a concrete success building plan. So how do you succeed? So at times you have been asked in your jobs, when you meet a senior for the first time, at times they will ask you for an interview also. Where do you see yourself 10 years down the line? Where would you see yourself 5 years down the line? So all these make you visualize and introspect. How do you want to see yourself in terms of do you have any plans or not? Thirdly, make your attitude your allies. So make your attitude your partners. So when you talk about this terminology called attitude, is you have to understand that change the attitude can bring the change in the world, we say. Very good example for that can be, if you've heard about Jim Carrey, the Hollywood star. I think so. The way he grew up in terms of his career path become a Hollywood star, being a school dropout, okay, a strong believer in a positive attitude. So grow the I am activated attitude. Dig into it deeper. That means always hold that positivity in you, whatever goes around. And if something goes around wrong, so accept that failure and get up and grow back. Secondly, grow the you are important attitude. Make people feel important. So, are you giving the equal importance to the people you are partnering or aligned with? Appreciate them, acknowledge them, make sure that you at times, give a compliment to people. So have that attitude where you create an importance for the other people, right? Okay, another very good example which comes to my mind is Denzel Washington, right? Again, a Hollywood actor, and he was into a habit of drinking but conquered it. And when I would like to show you a video in the end of the session, and I think so it is an inspiration for me every day, every moment. So whenever you feel low, I would like you to see it and imbibe in you what is the learning. Thirdly, grow service first attitude. So service first, money takes care of itself. So I think so everything will fall in place. You want to make money, of course you make money, right? But always put service first attitude, money will fall in place, right? That has happened for a lot of individuals who are now successful in their career path. Fourthly, in everything you do, life up your smile, life up your talk. So if you have observed a lot of people who are very lively, jovial, right, who are very expressive at times, enlighten and tell us, give that so much of positive energy and positivity, right? Probably one more name comes in my mind is Barack Obama, right? I think so. He generates so much of positivity, standing in the queue for the food, which teaches us loads of things, right? Broadcast good news. How many times all of us love sharing good news, right? And I love it. So I'll share you something which had a negative repercussion for me. Okay, one fine day, I think so. I had put up a post on social media about the kind of social service I'm doing for slum dwellers and the quarantine patients and senior citizens. And I received a very negative comment on my social media platform, one of them, Facebook, and the individual writing me that charity begins at home, and why you're putting it on social media. If you're doing something good, I think so it should be kept to yourself, right? There can be two aspects to it. So I got in touch with this individual and probably I said, I appreciate your thought process. Maybe you are thinking in some other perspective, but my thought process to share it on the social media was only to make people aware that there is something called as such an NGO which is around, and you all can be part of volunteering. You all can be part of being a doer, right? So that can be different perspective to things. Don't hog glory, invest in it instead. So do some hard work. Okay, you won't get glorified easily, so it requires a lot of hard work, right? So we are talking about the fourth aspect of understanding what the thinking goes ahead with. Be bold and brave. So when I gave you the example of Mother Teresa, you all might be knowing she's such a wonderful example of the founder of Missionaries of Charity in Kolkata, a nun who traveled from Kolkata, who traveled from Yugoslavia to Calcutta to create this institution, right? And I think so, nobody can be comparable to her, and treating the leprosy patients. So one of a great example, Oprah Winfrey. So I would be giving you these various examples, which are people who are famous and who have become famous with a lot of struggle, right? But doesn't mean that you're not famous, right? You all can be bold in your own way, brave in your own way, and in your own perspective. So at times, if you have kids at home, right, I think so, they would always treat you as role models. You will treat your mentors as role models, and you can say that at times your mentors are bold and brave, right? Deal with fears. So what does this fear stands for? What does this abbreviation fear stands for? It has two meanings to it. So one, it says forget everything and run. So do you believe a bold and a brave person would run away? I don't think so, right? He will forget rest of the things and would stay there, face everything and rise. So stick around with this thought process that you have to face everything and rise from it. Choice is yours, right? I have been talking about building confidence, learning value for yourself, and believing in yourself. So the first thought process, that at times when I address a platform of 1,000 to 2,000 individuals, a lot of people have come to me and have said that, don't you have that anxiety to deliver a talk to large numbers? And I have always tell them, yeah, I have anxiety. So for me, an anxiety can be good and bad, both. So the kind of anxiety I have would probably make me outshine, right? And works as more positive. So I put in my heart and soul in it and prepare for it and practice it and then deliver it. So practice speaking up. Do not be afraid to say the facts. So at times, diplomacy is the best policy, or whether not the best policy, you have to understand. So as an individual, I'm quite straightforward. That's what I have personally, been my guru mantra kinds, deposit only positive thoughts in your memory bank. So if something has happened wrong, so somebody is saying, you're too young to take our batch of session of senior managers. So I took it in a positive way, in terms of that was a good learning lesson for me, in terms of a thought process, but not negative, right? I may be sharing it with you that way. Okay. Fifth, get on your feet after each failure. So in the pictorial talks about it. Okay, you can see the runner who has probably fallen, and somebody who's a co-runner has helped him and supported him. I think so. When I talk about attitude of life, I talk about something to do with be helpful to people. We talk about a key skill which we all need at this point of time is empathy, right? Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So make sure when you feel low, right? When you feel low, when you feel depressed, or when you have something going negative, I think so. One, you can at times, you have a nature to sit alone, go in peace. There are people who would just talk it out. There are people who would meditate. There are a lot of different ways of people responding to situations. Cure yourself of exquisitis, the failure disease. So what is this exquisitis? I think so that's a major disease which stops us to be becoming big. Okay. We all become very little when we talk about this disease, which is within us, all of us. So when you talk about an example as health exquisitis, okay, we say, oh, I'm feeling a low a little bit at this point of time. Can I start my running regime early in the morning from tomorrow onwards? Okay. So I put it on tomorrow, right? Intelligence exquisite. So I probably all the time when my boss or my colleagues say that you are intelligent, you can share, you have something interesting to share, you generally say, I think so, boss, you're better than me, right? Age exquisite is something to do with, oh, I've grown old. I'm now 40, right? Okay. And I think so we were discussing about this when we entered this meeting, sharing with few participants. So don't put it on the age. I think so we have loads of people who have conquered. Age is just a number, we say, right? Okay. uh, Going ahead, stop blaming luck. Oh, it's my bad luck. I couldn't succeed. Today I couldn't have been. Oh my God, I'm just Reeti Kapoor Chopra, speaker trainer at the stature. I could have been better like Robin Sharma. I think so. Simon Sinek is far more better than me, right? Uh, I'd like to share this one more thing with you is something very interesting. If you've heard about this leadership coach called Simon Sinek, he talks about his team of people as igniters. He talks about them as optimists. So on his website, when you open, you will see his team names, which is so much influencing that he calls his own team with such amazing terminologies. Stop blaming luck. Research each setback. So if you've got a setback, if there is a failure, if you want to cope up with it, don't blame to various reasons. Try new approaches, experiment. If things don't work out this way, maybe they would work out some other way, right? Try to understand this that action cure fear. So once you are in an action mode, I think so, you will conquer it. One more example, which is very interesting in terms of when you talk about Thomas Alva Edison, who invented the electric light bulb. He went through 9,000 times kind of a failure, 9,000 times he tested failure, and the 10,000th time he conquered to invent something, right? So I think so that dedication is extremely important. The other day I was attending a webinar, and this was addressed by an entrepreneur who said, making failing fast. I try to understand, make failing fast and make success last. So fail can be something which will happen faster. But when you talk about success, it will always last all your life, right? So experiment, try new approaches, right? Going to the sixth thought process, live your dreams. So APJ Abdul Kalam again said, dream, dream, dream. So that was a thought process which a very small guy staying in a very small town called Rameshwaram in India, and becoming the president of India, and one of the known scientists, okay, the missile man. He dreamt about something and he lived to it. So set your goals high and then exceed them. So now goal setting, we talk about this term called SMART goals. So when we talk about these SMART goals, I think so we all have to understand that SMART goals are something which is has to be also attainable. And most of the time we think about that a SMART goal is so easy to be fetched with please pen down, make kind of a, like in my childhood I remember you doing a diary writing. Now I make a to-do list in the night, okay, so at times one day prior. So all these kinds of goal setting you have to bring in when you think about achieving something big in your life, right? J.K. Rowling's, right? Who gave us the Harry Potter series, okay? Went through a lot in the life, right? If you get the chance to read it about it, okay? So think about what you want. So in one of my workshops, I remember to start with, I asked people, which I would love to ask you at this point of time, and you can just hold back when we go in the question answer round, what each of you wanted to be, right? In terms of in life, whatever you are doing right now, maybe whatever you're doing is a kind of a dream fulfilled, but then even imagine and start giving me when we get into the Q&A round, even share this with me, that is there some dream which is unfulfilled, right? Sometimes we find our dreams are not ours, they belong to society, friends, parents, partners. So dream is something which is your own dream. It is not a dream house which you and your partner wants it in a particular city and town. Okay, it is not a dream in terms of which is shared in the organization, right? It's your own personal dream to achieve success. We tend to keep our dreams in our head, right? We don't share. Why is this? I think so. Whatever you have dreamt, invest in yourself, share it, invest in education. So, the best thing you all could have done or may have done, right? I'm not judgmental at this point of time, is investing in yourself during this COVID-19 times. Invest in education. So maybe you wanted to go for a higher education, maybe you wanted to take some online programs, maybe you wanted to invest in learning something new, invest in idea starters. And it doesn't believe that you have an idea will get you a big dream. You have to be actionable. So this will not happen until you make them real. So it will just be a dream unless and until you make it actionable. Build a 30-day goal. So I think so. We have always been told that follow a particular habit or a hobby for a kind of a 21 days. If you're testing or you're probably procrastinating a particular habit, like I have been thinking about getting up early in the morning for almost 2 years, right? And I have been working late in the night, procrastinating it. I think so. The day, one day, if I want to achieve my dreams, I have to put my foot down and have that strong willpower to get into the habit of getting up early. So rewrite them so you can actually fulfill them and you are then answerable. So probably when you talk about uh, I think so. I remember a book which most of the people in the corporate life have read, which is called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, right? And that makes us to write what is a private victory versus personal victory. So if you want to achieve a personal victory, please write your dreams, right? Okay. So we have some time to go, 15 minutes, right? Okay. So please keep your questions and answer for the last some time, 10 minutes, right? Begin with the end in mind. So this is, I'm talking about the habit 2 of highly effective people, which is written by Stephen Covey. If you get a chance to read it on Kindle, you get audio copy, you can listen to it, and it is very interesting. I'll tell you an incident which I generally share in my workshop. So, as an individual, one day I imagined, right? Or rather, I see in my dream there is a funeral happening of somebody. I walk to the church and I see a casket. And when I sit there, look inside the casket, I see myself, right? I see people around who are knowing me as my family, my colleagues, my parents, my friends, and each of them have to talk about me, right? In terms of share about me, probably that whole incident or that moment start makes me think, have I thought about what do people think about me? So always make sure that begin your journey of life with clear understanding of what is lying ahead of you, and what are the people, who are the people who always begin with the end in the mind, the people who visualize. So I want to see myself having a amazing house on the beach 10 years down the line. That's not something which is just a face of it, but I have to really get actionable to it, right? The most effective people shape their own futures. They benefit from beginning with the end in mind, all areas of life. So when you talk about the second habit of highly effective people, we talk about begin with the end in mind, which means each of us has to have a personal mission statement. Each organization has a mission statement. Mission statement? No, a vision statement, right? So each individual should have a mission statement that what you want to achieve in life. Secondly, think about focusing on what is the goal and start visualizing, right? Yourself. So focus on what you want to be, or your office to be, and what you want to accomplish in life, right? um, there's somebody called Sadhguru, if you have heard him about, and he's at this point of time in US traveling on his bike exploring. He even shares something very interesting in terms of the purpose of life. So everybody of us should get into understanding why, what, when. No, majorly why. So incorporate the principal values upon which being and doing these things will be based. So each of us have certain principles, value systems, and I think so each of us has have certain habits, right? And how they are influenced, intrinsic or extrinsic, try to think about it. Okay. Uh, get the action habit. That's something which is the last key of your success to become big. So only ideas won't help. Don't wait until conditions are perfect. So I wanted to do a webinar for a particular organization, but maybe not right now. Maybe once the pandemic is over, right? So those kinds of thoughts make me not actionable. Be a doer, right? Volunteer for yourself, volunteer for something you want to achieve in life. Remember that ideas alone don't bring success. So I have an idea, unless and until I implement it, I won't get the success. So get nothing comes merely just by thinking about it, right? Be actionable. We talk about two kinds of people in this, right? There's a term called activationist. So activationists are the people who are active and who have a positivity in them. And we call the other kind of people called passivationist. The people who are passive and most of the time unsuccessful. So these are the two kinds of people. Which one you want to be? Think about it. So if you want to be a actionablest, slip of tongue, okay, activationist, then remember that always you have to be more positive to your and see the broader picture. Be a crusader, be a volunteer, be a doer, right? Start your creative engine mechanically. So creativity, you're born creative or you're made creative. It can be anything. It can be either, right? And I think so every individual can be creative. Live in the present. Don't think about, past, but live in the present And I think so you will succeed being living in the present, right? Probably another example, when you talk about the actionable habit, you talk about Warren Buffett also. So when he was selling door to door the magazines, the Coca-Cola bottles, I think so he had this larger picture in his mind, being one of the richest person now in life, right? So how do you achieve all this? Whatever 6, 7, 8 pointers I have given to you, right, to get into action. So start thinking. So think. The next comes dream. And I think so once you dream, I think so you're halfway to it. The third, the process will be action. So talk about saw a thought, come up with an idea, come up with the thought of process, reap in action, right? Go ahead and saw an action. Reap a habit and saw a habit. The one I was talking about, getting up early in the morning. Saw that habit in you, right? Get into that mode. So I decided during my pandemic times that I am going to read at least 2 books in a month, right? It can be a self-help book, it can be something to do with my technical knowledge, it can be something to do with spirituality, right? Any book. So my objective was to get into habit of reading, right? And which really nurtured well. That's what I personally believe. Reap a destiny. So I think so. It makes me more learned when I reap a destiny. Julian, we have 7 minutes to go, kinds.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think so. I'm putting up few things for you, and then probably if I get time, I want to play that video for 3 minutes. So quickly going ahead, I'm putting forth few things to do a recap for you. Be positive and fearless. Fearless. Don't think anything is impossible. It is something to do with I am possible. So you make it possible. Ask big questions, right? So take challenges in life, start really thinking big. And if there is one thing you could change in about the world, what would it be? So I'm working on something called, as volunteering for something called plastic recyclathon, right? Which really interests me. And I started thinking that how much plastic I even have at my own place, right? So I want to change the world, but I'm not the crusader, somebody else is. But then I have been volunteering for it. Okay. Be creative and dream big. Set a massive long-term goal and stick to it. So make your long-term and short-term goals. Get into more visualization mode. Inspire those around you. So I think so. The skill of interpersonal skill is extremely important. Being successful. If you tend to read this book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I would suggest you to read another book which talks about the 8th habit, which was incorporated quite late once as a publication, which talks about from effectiveness to greatness. So we want people to share. We want people to, inspire around ourselves. Lastly, above all, believe in yourself. And I think so that makes things better for you. So quickly, the last slide, which I want to tell you. When the going gets tough, when little people try to drive you down, think big. Somebody puts in a comment, somebody says that you're not doing justice to your work. Start thinking, introspecting yourself. When that I haven't got what it takes feeling creeps up on you, this very bad feeling which comes to you, which tears your confidence, start thinking big. When an argument or quarrel seem inevitable, so at times you have a quarrel with your wife, at times you have an argument at home, at times you have an argument at work, right? Get composed, think big. When you feel defeated, think big, right? At times, I have always faced loads of, so today if somebody asks me that how you have been doing for your career, I say, curtsy my well-wishers, but I even say courtesy my critics. So all the time critics come to help you, right? Critics are very, very helpful. So trust that magic in the critics also when they give an opinion. So when you feel defeated, think big. When romance starts to slip, think big. On a lighter note, when you feel you can progress, your progress on the job is slowing down, you're probably the appraisal says it that you're not progressing well, think big, think broader, don't think little, right? Okay. Julan, do I have a time to play the video, please, for 3 minutes?
Yes, please go ahead.
Or can I take the question answer? What do you suggest?
Just play the
Thank you
video.
so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Just one sec, guys.
I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Now, I'm sure in your experiences in school and applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you want to do with life, I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on, honey. I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. Going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. Without consistency, you'll never finish. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big. Big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600.
Okay, courtesy the time, I'm stopping the video, but I would request you to all see this amazing video, which is of 10 minutes, and it is amazing that if we can see it every week, it reminds me that what are the dreams I want to fulfill, and I think so, Julian, to just take further 1 or 2 minutes. I think so. I would request all of you to get into some interesting read, which I recommend to you. One of it is just close to me here. Okay. Hope you can read it. It is something to do with thinking big. Okay. The magic of thinking big. And this is authored by a motivational coach. Okay. And it has been written by David Schwartz, who's an American writer who talks about some interesting things in terms of how do you start thinking big. It has been, they have sold 6 million copies. And I think so he talks so much sense about how we can create, something which is in its own a book called a self-help masterpiece, right? Thank you, guys. Any questions? I'm ready to take it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Riti. Wonderful presentation. Just, that what you need on the beginning of the week. So, and always. So here we have two comments. Venkata says, awesome presentation. Ananya says, how to find out this video on YouTube.
Fantastic. So I think so, Ananya. This is of Denzel Washington, the Hollywood actor, right? If you search for motivational videos, you will find it. It's interesting to see it. He has been a great inspiration.
Exactly. So, Sridhar, you had your hands raised. So, can you please unmute and ask your question or comment?
Yeah, thank you so much. Most of the points which I've heard today are really simplistic and but carry a lot of impact when we really follow them. My question is like when we don't have an environment around us and we are not in a position to change our places, uh, we are stuck up or we are living or we are coexisting with the same set of people around. How much of an effort it would be to implement all these thoughts and everything? Of course, we will be thinking big. We want them to change. We want to make ourselves in sync with them. There are so many points. It's a huge subject. But my simple question is, what kind of effort it would take if we really see that we are the only one with all these kind of thoughts?
Sridhar, have you heard about change is constant?
Yes.
Right. So I think so. We cannot change the environment. We cannot change our surrounding. We have to be somebody who will start doing it, implementing it, and then people will follow. Right. So at times you have to be somebody who takes an initiative and tries to do it. Right. So it is very individual effort. So whenever I have got into this quick fix in my life, I have tried to explore and have tried to maybe a rebel at times, and whether it is good, right, wrong, I haven't thought about it in those lines, but in a long run, it has worked for me.
And if it takes all the if it takes all the resources which you have, like age, experience, everything, and still we are struggling with that.
There's a book by Robin Sharma. Uh, when it's a very interesting read which talks about when you would like to die. What are the things you want to do before you die? Okay, probably
Bucket list.
that
Okay.
book, which is very interesting, which talks about I want to do those 10 things before I die, right? Rather than sulking and thinking that, oh my god, I'm not doing what I love to do, right? So I was in a hardcore corporate job with one of the great IT giants, right, of India. But then I thought that's not my calling, and I had to take getting into I had to take a decision to getting into freelancing, which was not so easy, right?
Yes, I do understand. Simply to put forward, we have got legs to move, brain to think, use them.
Yeah, you have got the most important thing. Brain is the most important thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Sridhar. Wonderful question, I would say, because as much as we, after hearing anything, a webinar or anything that we hear or we get motivated or we try to change, if the environment doesn't support, it becomes much harder. And if we get that support, life would be so perfect. But then it would not be something big and great. Sridhar, that's what we can,
So Jillian,
yeah.
at times, as you're saying, everything doesn't happen in terms of the good environment. Sometimes you have to fight back. Right. So at times you in your own working environment, whether you want to fight, you want to flight, or you want to freeze for certain aspects in your life, we all have
Right,
to.
absolutely. It becomes 10 times harder, but we have to go do that, right? Maybe I missed you in the middle. Any more questions, queries, thoughts?
So before we end the webinar, I would really recommend you to read a few of the books to talk about in terms of when I suggested you The Magic of Thinking Big. I'm going to suggest you another book, which is called Six Thinking Hats, which is Edward de Bono, which would probably Sridhar help you a lot in terms of understanding what is the kind of hat you're wearing at this point of time when you are not, following your own passion. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Before taking any more questions, I would just like to remind that we have these Let Us Talk It webinars every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. EST, and on Fridays from 4 to 5 p.m. EST. And tomorrow we have the topic is digital analytics and the art of storytelling, how businesses can leverage digital analytics to measure their e-commerce performance. And on Thursday, we have I Am Not Creative, a self-limiting belief people have and how to beat it. And on Friday, we have our exciting youth webinar, Do Supermoms Need Help Too from Family? Why, what, when, and how of this simple but an impactful question, which we all should reflect for the moms and dads, of course, who wear multiple hats. So, yeah, the dads were a little bit, saying that why not the dads? So, I had to include the dads there. But, yeah, those are the topics. And if you want to be part of our webinars, if you want to be a guest speaker or you want to attend or become a mentor for the youth, or you have a youth at home that wants to join, please do email us at webinar@letustalkit.com. We have our yoga sessions as well on Wednesdays, 9 to 10 p.m. EST, and on Sundays, 10 to 11 a.m. EST. And then any more questions? I see here chat. Thanks for Magesh says, thanks for motivating us. Great show, great presentation. Yeah, these are the comments. And
Before we say goodbye, thank you, Julan. Thank you, Phil, for connecting with me. And you guys are doing wonderful job. And I think so. We all should talk it out, right?
absolutely, can't agree more. Yes. Um, oh, so Sridhar is saying, have a blessed day, Riti. Yeah,
Thank you,
that's
Sridhar. I am going to have a blessed night. So it's
right.
10:39 sharp in Bombay, India.
Right. So, yeah, cannot, thank you so much, Riti, for your time, explaining it simple but to the point, and always reminding us of the very simple, basic things, but it helps, Sometimes we just forget to think simple, and then that leads to something big.
Yeah, think little and think simple, and I think so you will go in this mode of thinking big.
Of course, we'll do. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Thank you for your time. And please don't forget us to like us, subscribe our YouTube channel. Let Us Talk It. We are doing it for a pretty long time now. And we hope that it's as a knowledge sharing platform, it helps the community. And if you got any help anytime from these webinars, do share it with your friends and family as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a great day ahead and great night, Riti, all of you who have joined from India. Thank
No
you.
worries, pleasure is mine. Thank you, people. All the luck.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.